let's see, what was the, not Buck Rogers, but before Buck Rogers.
Space Patrol.
Space Patrol.
Have you
noticed how much spaceships looked like the space shuttle 30 years before there was a space shuttle? It's my theory, and I just want to get your opinion on it, that young people who then go to school and study science and technology get impressed upon them visions from their youth, in some cases Star Trek, and sometimes before that, and then they make our current technology to fit the memory they already have, because things do look similar to things you have. Everyday devices that are advanced technology look incredibly like the equipment you already carried on Star Trek 35 years ago, 38 years ago. Do you think that your shows and shows like it of the past actually shape the technology of the future?
You know, I think Gene Roddenberry, who created Star Trek, was a change agent. Because with his imagination, he visualized the future and made that a goal, a benchmark. And other change agents, like the inventors, the engineers, the scientists, the technicians, took that as a goal to strive for. And they, with their genius, made that a reality. So it takes someone with the kind of imagination and creativity that Gene Roddenberry had to place a goal in the future. And then that future becomes our commonplace, everyday, amazing phenomenon.
I believe you are correct. Yes, we have a question from Mr. Takei over here.
Well, actually, it's not a question. It's actually a thank you. My husband, who couldn't be here today, he wants to thank you for your wonderful body of work. And he wanted to see the future adventures of Captain Sulu.
So do I. I thought after Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, that was the most obvious opening for a Starship Excelsior series, with, of course, Captain Sulu in that center power chair. And I think a lot of fans thought so too, and they started writing in, and the letters that came in those days, it was put into an envelope written via this machine called a typewriter, and we put a 13-cent stamp on that envelope and dropped it into the mailbox, and 2 or 3 days later, the recipient got that message. And in this case, it was NBC. They were advocating for a new series. And it was the most logical and the smartest thing to do. But Paramount executives or NBC executives are not known for being logical and smart. Never happened. It was the most obvious thing, and it never happened. When I saw that last scene in Star Trek VI, where, the last scene of all Star Trek stories take place on the bridge of the Enterprise, and the captain gets up from his seat and looks up at that view screen, but this time there's that giant view of Captain Sulu there, and Captain Kirk essentially looks up to that figure and says, "Thank you for saving my ass." And Captain Sulu looks down and says, in essence, "Good to see you in action one more time, Captain." And he smiles and he roars off, and you see the great ship, Starship Excelsior. And McCoy is looking after that ship and says, "By God, that's a big ship." But Scotty, with a twinkle in his eyes, says, "Aye, but not so big as a captain, I think." Irish accent isn't, or Scottish accent isn't too good. But he says, "Aye, not so big as a captain, I think." Now that's a Captain Sulu movie.
That's a Captain Sulu movie right there. Ladies and gentlemen, there are lots of panels coming in.